Hey guys, Synchro Fanatic here. Now today, in the early morning, we got some new reveals for the next core set for Yu-Gi-Oh, which is Darkwing Blast. I've been hyped about this for a while because, judging by the theme of the name, I figured there may be some potential for Blackwing support, and sure enough, my prayers have been answered, and we do have some Blackwings. Blackwings being the core card, having a cover card, and being the core theme for this set. 10 new Blackwing cards have been revealed. They're all based on the Blackwing Dragon sort of synergy, so trying to tie them together with Blackwing Dragon. A little bit worrying at first when I first read them. I read them this morning, with the rough translations, but now I've read them again. Now with the proper translations from Yu-Gi-Oh! Organization, shout outs to them once again for the translations and their hard work. And I'm very happy, I'm very excited for these. I think this is going to be really cool. So we're just going to talk about them a little bit, maybe go along the way thinking of some combos we can do while we're talking about it, the potential and synergies I see. They are a little bit worse than what I read yesterday. One card in particular doesn't do what I thought it did, but that just makes another card in the set actually better, so it just kind of like changes the dynamic slightly. So without further ado, within me waffling, let's just get into the shit you're here for, which is the cards. So the first card is Black Feather Burai no Vata. Well, I'm just going to do that once. It's Blackwing Vata the Knave in literal English, but Black Feathers, if you're not aware, is the OCG name for the archetype. We just call them Blackwings because Blackwings is less letters, and I think it sounds better, honestly. But he's a level 2 Dark Winged Beast tuner effect monster. So that's really interesting because Blackwings are generally more focused for level 3 tuners. The only decent level 2 tuner I think has been Blizzard, and that was way back in like 2009 when Raging Battle came out. So 800 attack, 0 defense, so his attack is pretty low, which is great because it means he's easy to search. But you can only special summon with the first effect of this card's name once per turn. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. If you control a Blackwing monster other than Blackwing Vata the Knave, you can special summon this card from your hand. So he has the Gale, Boris sort of stuff, not a soft once per turn like the others. Well, they weren't even once per turn, they just kept, as long as you had them, you could just keep doing it. But this is a hard once per turn, and it's understandable when you read the second effect, because during your main phase, you can send this card on the field, and one or more Blackwing non-tuner monsters from your deck to the graveyard, whose total levels equal exactly 8. And if you do, special summon one Blackwing Dragon from your extra deck. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn, except dark monsters. So, this is effectively an easy way to get to Black-Winged Dragon, which is, again, like I mentioned, the theme of this set is to make Blackwings incorporated with Black-Winged Dragon. I wish he kind of could make more synchro plays than just Black-Winged Dragon, but this is an easy way to get into it if you need to. You can see Dio in the background. So, being able to dump a level 6, such as Simoon, or one of the cards we'll get into in a bit, this card's really good. Like a level 2 that special summons itself, meaning cards like Bora and this go into Nothung, which gives you an additional normal summon, triggering more Black Whirlwind. So this card's great for that reason alone. I think I prefer it more for that than I do the second effect. But in a pinch, you can always just make a Blackwing Dragon, who, yeah, he's a terrible card, but like he's a 2/8 beat stick, and it's better than nothing, really, isn't it? And he can protect you from some of your burn effects. A lot of the Blackwings in this set do additional damage to you via burn effects, and Blackwing Dragon can carry them. And again, as the synergies focus more on Blackwing Dragon, there's a lot more cards that can incorporate his Black Feather counter gimmick. So this is a good card, really good start. Let's go to the next one. The next card is Blackwing Shamal the Sandstorm. Now this is the card we had a mistranslation the first time. We'll get into it though. It's a level 4 Dark Winged Beast tuner effect monster, attack 1600 and defense 0. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. You can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard, place one Black Feather Whirlwind from your deck face up in your spell and trap zone. Now, when I first read the first translation this early morning, this said Black Whirlwind, and I thought this card was going to be an amazing 3-of that you must play. Unfortunately, that's not the case, and it actually searches Black Feather Whirlwind, which is a new continuous spell card released in the set. So while not as good or, great for consistency, it's still a pretty good card to search, and it does make the card that I initially said the continuous spell, I thought the continuous spell was probably like the worst card revealed, but now it's actually searchable with a bit more ease of use. I think it's better. whether you want to play that and this to circumvent it is going to be kind of, I think, the deck building player's choice. Some people think it's worth it, some people think it's won't. I'm not sure I think it's worth it, but one thing that does make me kind of happy about this is his attack stat, 1600, searches a lot of the cards in this archetype, which is good. The second effect, if a Blackwing Synchro Monster and or Blackwing Dragon is special summoned to your field while this card is in your graveyard, you can banish this card, then target one Blackwing monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand, then take 700 damage. And this is why I think this card might be worth it, because you can pitch this, search the Whirlwind will get you a Blackwing back, and then when you Synchro Summon, you can then banish this, add a Blackwing back, and that can be, and it's not restricted to like a level 2 or lower or a level 3 or lower. This is any Blackwing in your graveyard, so Bora, Gale, Gladius, Ulster if you want. If you got additional normals, you can get Ulster back. Any Blackwing in your graveyard, you can add it. So I think this card is still really good. If it searched Black Whirlwind, it would have been probably too good, actually. And maybe that's why they made it search Black Feather Whirlwind. But again, I still think it's a good enough card to play. Maybe not at maximum copies now, like I thought. Maybe two might be an ideal number, because Black Feather Whirlwind is a nice extender. And it does give you a nice benefit for your Black Feather counters, giving a protection effect. But we'll get into that later. But that second effect is something important for Blackwings, because the issue with the deck is we play our hand, we keep going, we keep summoning, we can normal summon, and then we end up with a board state, which is like, okay, beat this. And then the board state gets beaten, we're like, well, we have no cards left in hand, we don't play Vayu anymore, because Vayu just never seems to work, because you never get into the graveyard, it's just kind of dead, because you can't use him for a Synchro Summon. And we kind of look at it like, well, I guess we just lose. With this, we can now potentially dump something, or pitch something with a card effect or something, use this from the graveyard and add any Blackwing back, and we get some follow-up for next turn, or we can just use it for the extender we need to. So, really good card, really covers like a patch, I think, in the Blackwing stratagem, which is recursion. So, really like this card. On to the next one. Blackwing Chinook the Snowstrike, level 2 Dark Wing Beast effect monster, attack 100, defense 700. Now, attack 100 is big because that means nearly any Blackwing normal summon can search this with Whirlwinds. And this card's quite a doozy. You can only use this effect, the effect of this card's name, once per turn. You can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Send one Blackwing Synchro Monster or Blackwing Dragon from your extra deck to the graveyard, and if you do, until the end of this turn, the targeted monster loses 700 attack, also its effects are negated. This is a quick effect if you control the Dark Synchro Monster. So a searchable effect veiler for Blackwings. Don't really need to say, I don't think I need to say how good that is, but this is also good going second, because you don't need it to be a quick effect. You can just pitch this, target a negation monster or something, just bait it out, so it baits negations, which is great, and you can also dump a Blackwing Dragon from your extra deck to the graveyard. So, being level 100 attack is also huge, because it means your last normal summon, or if you have like one Whirlwind, your last normal summon can search this. If you've got like multiple Black Whirlwinds, you can search your extenders and then summon this, and it just adds you another layer of protection, or, you know, power to push through an opponent's board. So this is a really good card. Obviously it isn't a playmaker, so I wouldn't play like 3 of it, because again, if you're going second, this isn't like Effect Veiler, you know, you can't just drop this on your opponent's turn if you don't control a Dark Synchro Monster. So they've made that limitation in there for that very reason, otherwise any deck could play this. But for Blackwings, it's fantastic. Like, it's a searchable Effect Veiler, which is huge in this game. Like, negation's big. So really good card. So 3 of them so far have been great. On to the next one, which is Blackwing Suthri the Illusory Spark. So level 4 Dark Wing Beast effect monster, attack 1400, defense 1400. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. When this card is normal summoned, you can add one card that mentions Blackwing Dragon from your deck to your hand, except Blackwing Suthri the Illusory Spark. You contribute one monster. You cannot special summon monster from the extra deck for the rest of this term except Synchro monsters. Also special summon one Illusory Spark token, Winged Beast Tuner Dark level 2, 700 attack, 700 defense, then take 700 damage. Okay, so this is a bit of a weird one. Not being able to search on special summon obviously hurts, but the searching isn't once per turn because it's a normal summon. They expect you to normal summon once per turn in this game, but they know, obviously, the Blackwings have lots of ways to give themselves additional normal summons, such as Simoon and No-Thung, for example. So this card is designed to search the cards that actually mention Blackwing Dragon, which is quite a few good ones, such as Blackbird Close and some of the new cards coming out. I do like this card. I think it's really good as well because you contribute another Blackwing monster to get a level 2 tuner, and that makes it easier for no-thung plays. No-thung effectively is very important for the combo because it gets you an additional normal summon, which means you're getting more value off your Black Whirlwinds while also burning your opponent in the process. So no-thung's a really good card for the deck, and being able to have many more easy ways to make it is very beneficial for the deck because, you know, if you have 2 Black Whirlwinds and you can't make no-thung, the most search you can get is 4, but with that no-thung, you're getting an additional 2 searches, which, again, more value, more consistent, more power in this deck. This is what this deck is. It's like, it lives and dies by Whirlwind and being able to normal summon. And this card just gets you another search on top of it if you normal summon. The other thing I like about this is its attack stat is 1400, which means Simoon can search it, and the new Tuna can search it, but his attack is still high enough to be able to search cards like Gale, or Harmattan, or Gladius, or Gust. Anything with really low attack, this card can search. So, really good card. You can search the new level 2 Tuna, actually, as well. So, I know people might be upset that this card can't search on Special Summon, but I think this card is perfect for what it needs to be. Definitely going to be a card, I think, that may cause issues with some deck building. Like, you want to Special Summon it off Ulster, you can't get the search. But that doesn't stop its second effect, which allows you to get into some other stuff. So, really good card, really solid support. Being able to search the spell and traps is big. Now for the new level 6, we have Blackwings Zonda the Timely Knight. Level 6 Darkwing Beast Effect Monster, attack 2300, defense 900. You're going to use the first, you lose one of the second and third effects of this card's name once per turn, and only once that turn. So you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except Synchro monsters while he's on the field. Who cares? We're Synchro summoning anyway. We don't care about the other mechanics. If this card is normal or special summon, you can target one monster on the field, return it to the hand. Okay, that's nice, I guess. You can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon one level 5 or higher Blackwing monster from your hand or deck, then take damage equal to its attack. So there's quite a few targets for this. There is that level 6 tuner, I believe, that you can summon from the deck. There's Simoon, of course, because we're always playing 6 Simoon. I think that's the only ones that were kind of relevant off the top of my head. So this is a good Blackwing card. Again, this is decent, but it's not something I'd say that's like, you must ensure you get this in circulation at all times. But there will just be some occasions where you want to play this card and then be able to special summon it, maybe to bounce a card or something. Maybe I see that. That first effect just feels like a whatever kind of effect. Like, it's, oh, if you somehow manage to summon it, you get to bounce a card. We don't care. We're not summoning this dude. We're not summoning this dude whatsoever if we can help it. But his level is good. 6 is always a nice level. And you can banish him from the graveyard, especially with level 5 higher Blackwing. Like, you can search Sirocco if you want. Its effects are not negated either, so if you want to make Sirocco and make one big Sirocco with all your Blackwings on the field, I guess you could do that. But he's a good card. You might be thinking, well, how are we going to get him into the graveyard half the time? Because we don't really have many foolish options in the deck. That's why kind of the problem with Zephyros is that how do we get Zephyros in the deck? That problem is solved later on, which we're going to go into now, is the Synchro monsters. And of course, this is always my favourite bit. But the first one is Blackwinged Assault Dragon. So it's a level 10 Dark Dragon Synchro effect monster, attack 3200, defense 2800. This is indeed a retrain of Blackwing Dragon to actually make it useful and do something relevant. So its materials are one Tuna Synchro monster and one non-Tuna monster. So not like the Tuna of non-Tuna Synchro. They've actually done it the other way around this time, which I think is an interesting change. But here's the real kicker of this card. Like, I'm going to talk about its effects first before I go into the other method, because each time your opponent activates a monster effect, place one Black Feather counter on this card, and if you do, inflict 700 damage to them. That's a nice effect. Like, it doesn't stop them playing their game, but if you look at the meta right now, we look at decks like Despia, Masquerade is a very big pain in the arse to people, because being able to tick down 600 life points every turn is a big deal for them. Now that's more better than this, because that's any card effect or a card activation or effect they activate. But still, 700 points of damage is a lot. And with combo decks that use a lot of monster effects, this is going to add up quickly. And if they don't get their combo done in time, you can just stop this and just be like, okay, you've taken so much damage, you know, you might not be able to finish your combo. Because some decks are very long-winded. Like against Dragunity, for example, this could very potentially kill that deck before it gets to finish its combo, which is unfortunate to think about, but there are some decks that still rely on monster combos and whatnot. If it did it for every card effect, I think it would be a little bit too overpowered, and I think that's why it only does it on monster effects. Hello, Dio, you come say hello. Hello, say hello to the camera. Yeah, look at it. But That's still a pretty good effect. But here's the caveat. This is because you put a counter on yourself. So what do you do with those counters? Well, during your opponent's turn, quick effect, of course, you can tribute this card with 4 or more black feather counters, destroy all cards on the field. So it's a Black Rose with extra steps. But it's a really good Black Rose because it just sits there and is like a ticking time bomb. It's burning your opponent for resources, for life points, and then when you've had enough, it's like, okay, you die. It just blows up the board. Which, with Full Armor Master on your field as well, because it does hit your board as well. But Full Armor Master is unaffected by card effects, last I checked. So he'll just be sitting there in the breeze, thinking it's just a nice summer breeze, while everything's just being blown to shit. So, but the reason I left the actual other effect out, because it does have one more effect. Must either be Synchro Summoned or Special Summoned by banishing 1 Tuna Synchro Monster and 1 Blackwing Dragon from your field and or graveyard. So this is kind of huge, because Synchro Summoning this, the problem with any big Blackwing Synchro Monster now is that it has to compare to Full Armor Master, because that card is absolutely crazy. This card doesn't have to really compare for that slot, because if you're using a Tuna Synchro Monster and a non-Tuna to make Blackwing Full Armor Master, you can use those same monsters you used to make Full Armor Master, potentially, to make this. So a level 6 Tuna Synchro and a level 4 Blackwing makes Full Armor Master. It also makes this, right? Because it needs a Blackwing Tuna. Because, spoiler warning, the next Blackwing Synchro is a Tuna Synchro, if the requirements of this hadn't tipped you off. So it makes it so that you just get an extra monster just because you managed to do the bare essential for like a Full Armor Master with a Synchro Summon. That's what makes this card very playable, and I think without that clause, this card would have been very meh. Because why would I make this over Full Armor Master? If I already had Full Armor Master in play, maybe I would make this, but that's very rare. But the fact you can just make Full Armor Master with the regular combo now and then say, oh, my dudes are in the graveyard, I think I'll just make this for free, is crazy to me, and this is why I think this card is really good just for that. And I don't think I've seen any other Synchro Monster have that clause in it. So I'm wondering if this is a new style of synchro mechanic they're trying out to like kind of push the mechanic, because fusions have had like a lot of fusion spells send the material from the deck. Xyz have a lot of like rank up shenanigans they can do, like Splites for example, and Zeus they just overlay on top of each other. You know, Galatea, Dingirsu. You've seen enough. Xyz just be like, I overlay now on this random card. Like that's how they push the mechanic. Links don't need the help. They're just really generic and good enough as it is. But Synchros, I think, have kind of like been this. You still have to do the proper material. You know, you have to get the tuners on board. You have to do the levels on board. Which, you know, I like. It's still how I think it should be done. But maybe this is their way of pushing the boat out and seeing how they can push the mechanic to kind of catch up with the others. I think it's dangerous to try to give monsters these mechanic. I know I'm talking about this one for a lot, but this is a really big thing for me because I think it's kind of dangerous giving Synchro Monsters this kind of mechanic, because you effectively turn one big Synchro Monster into another one. So you get 2 cards for doing the combo as opposed to the one. So this is dangerous territory, and again, the reason why Synchro Monsters are kind of like held back a bit is that usually when it comes to the Extranet monsters, they're the most threatening boss monsters in the game. Like, if you look at cards like Brawler, Savage Dragon, Trishula, Black Rose, stuff like that, Xyz monsters have had a lot of powerful enablers or boss monsters, but when a Synchro monster is good, it's actually infuriating for a lot of the player base to deal with, which I don't mind, because, you know, they should be busted. As of course, they should be busted. They should be the best cards in the game. But, again, I think with this, it's interesting to see them try and attempt this approach, but I also think it's very risky and dangerous. I think for this occasion, this is fine. It needed this to actually be playable, and I don't think you play more than one than this, but being able to just, you know, make Full Armor Master, banish the materials, and then make this on top of it, it's pretty good for Blackwings, and yeah, it saves this card from being, it's just okay. But enough waffling, let's go back to the card reveals. Let's talk about the new Synchro Tuner, which is Blackwing Boreas the Evil Wind, or Boreas the Demonic Wind. We won't get Demonic Wind though, because we have to be, you know, PG. So it's a level 6 Darkwing Beast Synchro Tuner effect monster, so that's where the Synchro Tuner bit comes in. Attack 2400, defense 1200. Fun fact, when I first saw the translation, they put the attack for this as 3200, and I nearly had a panic attack. Also because the artwork looks like Goyo Guardian, and it has a Goyo Guardian effect, which I'm guessing that was done because, and fanboying here from 5Ds, but like at the end of 5Ds in the last pieces, Crow actually joins the security corps, and ends up, doing the whole security patrol thing, dealing with the criminals on the door runs and stuff. So I'm guessing it's a reference to that with all the Goyo, because it looks like it kind of has a Goyo vibe. It has that Goyo effect, like, it's just kind of a weird reference, but that's just me like seeing this and thinking, is this a Goyo? Is this a reference to 5Ds? Probably is, but waffling on. If this card is Synchro Summon, you can send one Blackwing monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, this card's level becomes that monster. So this is great for two reasons. One, level modulation, so you can change this to be the level exactly you need. And two, if you can make it a level that you need, while also being a monster that has a graveyard effect, that is just extra value. So the new level 6 works. Vayu is an option. You can also send Zephyros the Elite, which is big, because Zephyros can finally do something in his own deck, rather than just being a nice normal summon that you might get off. This card is good for that reason, and being able to modulate your levels, so it can be like a 1, 2, 3, 4. You could use it to be whatever you want. You could dump a Gale and then bring it back later if you wanted to with the new Tuna monster. Because that's the other thing, is that you can send the new Tuna monster, and then that can get you a Blackwing monster back. And the second effect, it doesn't really matter. When this card destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can banish one Blackwing monster from your face-up field or graveyard, especially some of the destroy monster in your field in defense position. You're probably not attacking with this thing, I'm going to be honest with you. That's just, again, a weird, like, Goyo Guardian reference. I don't know why. I don't know. Again, I think it's just reference to 5Ds and the fact that Crow joined security, but that first effect is why you play this card, and the fact it's a Synchro Tuner means that you can go into Full Armor Master a lot easier and then tag the two materials out Full Armor Master from the graveyard to make the new Blackwing Dragon. So far, really happy with the monsters. I think the monsters are very, very good. The only one I did have a slight issue is with the level 4 Tuner, but that was because I got debated into thinking it searched Black Whirlwind. But searching the new continuous spell card Black Feather Whirlwind instead, which is a great segue, because here it is. Once per turn, if you special summon a Dark Synchro monster from the extra deck, you can target one of your Blackwing monsters or Blackwing Dragon with a lower attack that is banished or in your graveyard and special summon it. So, the reason why this is pretty meh before I knew about the actual level 4's proper effect was that it was searchable with the normal summon. The problem is you don't really want to be searching this unless you have to. The extendering is nice, but now that Tuna pitches itself to search this, it makes that card worse, but by extension makes this card better. Because now you have a decent excuse to play this as one-of, because you have a level 4 Tuna with 1600 attack that you might need to normal summon at times. But if you don't need to normal summon, you just pitch it for this and get an extender. But the other benefit is, once per turn, if a dark monster you control will be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can remove one Black Feather counter from your field instead. So let's say you have your Blackwing Armor Dragon, Blackwing Assault Dragon rather. If your opponent would like Lightning Vortex you or anything like that, it isn't going to bother a Full Armor Master. But if they would like try and destroy your cards via popping them and stuff via monster effects, you can just use a counter to protect the board. I kind of wish it wasn't a once per turn, but then I also think the amount of counters you're generating, it's probably a bit silly if it wasn't a once per turn. But this effectively allows you to hold off the nuke as long as you can until this pops up. Because you can be like, okay, I'll pop it, well, I'll just remove a counter then, and then they have to try it again. And then you can say, okay, now I've got no choice, I've got to destroy the board. It's a decent card. Like, now that it's searchable with the new level 4 Tuner and not the level 4 Searcher that searches any spell and trap, I definitely see myself playing this as a one-of. Before, I'd probably be like, I don't think I'd bother. But this is definitely a decent one-of that I think I'd play the level 4 Tuner and multiples of to Searcher. Because being able to special summon an Extender, again, it's more recursion. It's what this deck needed rather than just more hand vomit. I think the other thing this deck needed was probably like a more consistent way to get to Black Whirlwind. But Simoon's already kind of crazy in that regard. And being able to draw plenty of cards that you can play Lower Darkness. I was going to say you could play Pot of Desires, but Lamau, you can't. Thanks, Konami. You can do that, and there's new Wing Requital as well if you need to get another Black Whirlwind. So this is definitely an okay card. It's probably like not the greatest card it could have been, but it's good enough for what it is. And having a nice extender, it's pretty good. And being a spell card, you just plays it from the deck. They can't ash the Tuner. The Tuner brings you something back as well. So it's a pretty good combo they got going in there, and I think it's definitely worth playing there. And then we have two trap cards as well to round off the list. The first one is Blackwing Twin Shadow. You can only activate one card with this card's name per turn. If you control two or more Blackwing monsters, you can activate this card from the hand. Of course, the standard Blackwing thing, that's kind of their gimmick. You return two of your Blackwing monsters that are banished or in your graveyard to the deck and or extra deck, one Tuner and one non-Tuner. Special summon one Blackwing Synchro Monster or one Blackwing Dragon from your extra deck whose level exactly equals the total level of the monsters. This is treated as a Synchro Summon. So this is good in terms of the... Like, this is just a good trap card to be able to use because it lets you get a free Synchro Summon for no reason. Here's the issue with it. There's nothing really terrifying you'd want to special summon on your opponent's turn to make use of this. This is, I feel, kind of one of those cards that you could play in response to the Blackwing Assault Dragon popping off. And then you could chain this, like, before it. So you could go, activate this, chain the Blackwing Armor Dragon. So it will blow up the board, and then you just use the materials that you used to be able to sync summon a monster. But in terms of, like, actual posable threats on your opponent's turn, Raikiri, unfortunately, is only on your turn. If it was, like, on summon, that'd be great. But I don't think there's anything at the minute that really takes advantage of this on your opponent's turn. This just seems like a really nice recursion tool, again, which is what Blackwings needed. So I think I'd still play one of this card because it's searchable. Like, there's a lot of one-offs in the deck that you try and have. You'd have, like, majority of your deck would be Blackwings, then you'd have your draw power, your whirlwinds, and then you might, like, have a toolbox of utility cards, like the trap cards. And the next card is Black Shadow Squall or Black Noble. Counter trap card. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn, and only that turn. When a spell trap card is activated, you can remove one Black Feather counter from your field, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. So with Blackwing Dragon, with the new Blackwing Assault Dragon, you just remove the counter, negates the spell or trap. Now, the reason it doesn't negate monster effects is that we actually already have a counter trap that does monster effects. Would have been nice if this still included monster effects as well. I don't know why we have to start including and excluding certain monsters. Like, if you're going to make an Infinity Barrier, just make an Infinity Barrier. Don't, like, just go halfway with it. But, like, even if I understand why it doesn't negate monster effects, like, why not just make this just a better black bird close? But, hello. It is what it is. Like, just negating a spell and trap is still obviously really good. And the other effect, if you control Blackwing Dragon, you can set this card from your graveyard to your field, but banish it when it leaves the field. So you can recycle it if you need be, which I don't see you'll need to very often, but it's there. You know, if you need to, there might be some scenarios in which you need to do it. It is there. What are you doing, you cheeky little monkey? It's there if you need to. There's not really much else to say about it. So overall, with these 10 cards, I see a lot of potential for this deck to become a high-tier rogue deck now. I think this solved a lot of the issues I had with the deck. There's still issues with, like, hand traps, stuff like Nibiru's still really powerful against this deck, but against any combo deck, Nibiru is going to be a card that's looming over your head. That's just the game you're in now. And Full Armor Master does not care about Nibiru, so that is... Like, that's kind of the clutch of this, is that all this crazy new support comes in on a deck that already had Full Armor Master and Black Whirlwind Simon and all that other stuff. Because it wasn't a bad deck before, it just was locked by a lot of its older cards that just weren't as good. These new cards will give it a breath of fresh air and an additional boss monster and a Synchro Tuner for more flexibility and a lot more play options, with the key thing being a lot of recursion, which is something I think this deck sorely lacked, now has good levels of recursion. So overall, I think the support is a resounding success. I have to test it, of course. I have to, like, do my build and do my testing with it. I might come to the conclusion that some cards are actually worse than I thought, some cards are better than I thought, and a lot of the time, it's probably going to be a case of from looking at these cards right now, this is really, really good legacy support. And I know a lot of people do not like Blackwings, which, sorry, like, I love Blackwings, so I don't understand the hate, but there you go. Like, I'm really happy to see that Blackwings have been given this kind of level of support. It's not going to be tier 1. Like, before anyone says, oh my god, Blackwings are tier 1. No. I don't see them being a tier 1 deck, because it still has the innate problems of hand traps wreck it, Nibiru kicks its ass, even if you have... Because ending on a Full Armor Master nowadays just isn't going to be good enough. And the new counter trap, you need a Blackwing counter. Full Armor Master does not hold Blackwing counters. There's a lot here that I think could be seen to be played, a lot of it that might not be played, but definitely a lot of room to experiment. I think what I like about these cards is that they're all good enough to consider playing. It's just you as a player will decide what you want to play, and there'll probably be a good enough reason as to why you play that card, rather than just be, I really like Kochi the Daybreak, and I was like, well, Kochi's just terrible. It's like, well, I really like it, that's why I play it. Like, You could play any of these cards in the list, and I could probably ask you why, and you'd give me a reason which I'd understand would be good. And that's the kind of, that's why you want Legacy support to be. You want it to be good, effective cards that can give you either a new playstyle that's just as effective as the old one, or enhances the original playstyle. Like, you want to be able to have more options, and all these 10 cards do that. Like, you could not play the level 4 and the continuous spell if you don't want to. If you don't think they're worth it, you could just not play them. I think they're probably worth it now, but again, if you want to focus less on that and you want to play like more hand traps or something, you're going to have to do that. You know, if you don't want to play the counter traps because you only need like the Blackbird Close or the the spell trap thing, you can do that. There's a lot of going to be options, and I think a lot of people's Blackwing lists will differ from player to player, and that's good. That's good, because innovation is important in this game. Like, this game is creatively difficult in a competitive scene, because we're going to optimize the shit out of lists. We're going to optimize the format to a point where if you can't beat this particular strategy, if you can't beat this particular card, or if you can't do this, your deck isn't viable. Whereas whereas lower down, you can be a bit more creative. It's not as strict. And that's why I think this deck is going to be high tier rogue, just because some of the boss monsters it has are ridiculous. Its searching power is insane. It loses to a Droll and Lockbird, I also forgot to mention though. Droll and Lockbird does kick this deck in the butt a bit. But you can still make a full Armor Master and hopefully sit on it. Because some decks can't deal with that. Some decks might not be prepared to deal with that. And that's the thing, is like, that's where I think Blackwings will get their high tier niche from, is that they'll come in, no one will expect them to be there, and then you're dropping a full Armor Master on them, and they're like, what do I do? Like, do I have to make access code? And you're just not going to let them get to access code if you can help it. Barrel Sword, like, no one's playing Barrel Sword anymore. Barrel Sword would run the biggest counters to full Armor Master because it just ran over it. But, again, we'll see what time tells with this deck. I do think this is going to be it's going to be an amazing deck to take to locals, no problem. But I think with the right build and the right pilot, you can probably see take this deck to some success on a regional level. I could be blowing smoke out of my arse because I'm biased as shit, but with these cards, I do think this deck now is less of a joke and definitely more of a real deck once again, which is great to see. Anyway, I have been the Synchro Fanatic, and I have been waffling on for far too much of your time. If you've stayed to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching, and have a lovely weekend. See you later.